Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Living the Line. Today I am joined by King Megatrip himself, Matt King, whose book Tales to Enlighten Volume 1, that was illustrated by James Edward Clark. I just put up a review recently. And then Matt, you were kind enough to send me a PDF preview of Volume 2 that you're doing. So I wanted to talk to you about both books, and I know you've got
Awesome.
a Kickstarter coming up for this new book. So if you can do a little spiel about that and when is it coming out and stuff,
Sure.
just people that way.
It's coming out. I don't know when this is going up, but September 1st is the launch date for our book two, Tales to Enlighten the New Testament, which is it's like a 500 plus page anthology, 30 story artists, over 100 pinup artists, and just a lot of nonsense, basically.
There's a look at the cover. We have an artist list right up front? I'm scared to even scroll through this, Matt.
Yeah.
There's the cover to it.
So the cover is done by the same guy that did the first cover, Carlos Echeverry, I believe is his name. So a lot of these names, like I've never said them out loud. So I'll probably, so to the artist, I'm sorry if I screw it up, but Carlos Echeverry, who is or Ripatox on Instagram. He did a great first cover for me, so I wanted to have him back for the second one too.
Yeah, it looks cool and it's consistent. I was actually surprised that James didn't do the cover since he did all the interiors on the first book.
Yeah, he was pretty burned out by the time he was done with the first book. I think he was all set.
Yeah, yeah, I bet you asked him to pretty much draw everything ever in all of history and all of existence.
Yeah. So basically, you kind of nailed it in the video you did, where you said it's like everything you've ever read, all the music you've ever listened to, kind of distilled down, and that's literally it's like my whole life of reading comics, and it's just like juiced out. That's what I put down on the paper for him to draw. Fair or not, but yeah, that's what it was.
Well, and also like crowd scenes where it's like, I don't know, draw all of the Beatles, and then how much of that I'm interested was in the script, or how much were you like just fill it up with people that you like?
So when we got to the club, so there's the grandson of Satan and his buddy, Man for the Man Machine. Their idea to reach enlightenment, kill 666 superheroes, take their heads, plug it into the Satan's misery machine. You get to enlightenment. We found out that enlightenment isn't like a state of mind or a higher purpose. It's a club. So at the club, I said in the script, I gave him a list of maybe 400 or 500 different comic characters, actors, musicians, you name it, pop culture icons. And I said, anytime you have a chance, throw these guys in the back. So, and then he added his own too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I've done that before too, where you got to fill a crowd scene, and I'm like, I look at people like Brandon Graham or Jeff Darrow or what's his name, Philia.
Yeah,
He does.
Philia Bradukun, Bratkuhin. I don't know. He's
Do you
Russian.
know
I
his
can't say it.
Insta? Do you know his
Yeah,
Instagram handle off the?
it's like Philia Boy, Filya
And
Boy.
he did a pinup in the first one, and he has a story in here.
Yeah.
And he's someone here. This is his art, right? This is some of his stuff.
Let me see. Yeah. So maybe 10 of the 30 stories in this book were originally intended for to be backup stories in the first book,
Okay.
but I said, oh, we can't do a 500-page book. That's ridiculous. No. And then so I shifted them. I said, we're going to do a second book. I wrote a few more stories, and then all of a sudden we're at a 500-page second volume. So it didn't work out. Like it's still 500 pages. But yeah, so he did that back in like 2018. I've just been like
Okay.
sitting on it, and it's like I'm so glad to get it out there. But he has a new book out right now that Scout Comics beat me to the punch with this kid. I would have really loved to debut his art or whatever. He's great.
Yeah, he's crazy, and he'll do those crowd scenes, and they're just full of people. And every time I do that, I'm like, I don't know who to put in this, so I'll do what you guys did. I'll go, oh, Bjork, like Mike Patton, all these singers and
Right.
actors and stuff that I
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
he's really, I mean, you see his Instagram page if you follow him, and it's
yeah.
just like it's all gridded out, and it's just incredible. I mean, I can't imagine how he
How you just saw him on Instagram and reached out,
yeah,
or
yeah, that's how I got a lot of these guys is I just follow artists, and then and if I really like their stuff, I'll reach out and see what's what and see if I can hire them, or etc. Or
yeah.
uh,
I that's one of the things I really like about this second one is I can tell that we're kind of like kindred spirits, I think, in like the excitement of finding somebody that you haven't heard of before, and then you're like, I want to show this to everyone. And so like some of the people you find probably have already been seen and you just don't know
sure.
it, but
Oh,
um
definitely.
there's a lot of that in this second volume because it's an anthology of short stories, and I really really like that aspect.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So is that like part of what the second one is about? Is you really just like, these are the guys I like, I get to work with them?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I could get 7 pages from him, and then 10 pages from someone else, and it's a lot of fun, to write. James and I created these characters, and it's fun to expand on them in little short stories with all these different artists.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like these short stories allow you to chase down a lot of different, because it's an unhinged book, right? Like both
Sure.
both books are unhinged, so it lets you chase down each little unhinged idea
Yeah.
more separately,
Correct.
which is really fun. So that was the big thing that I wanted to talk to you about is um the balance that the very strange balance that you managed to get in the first book between like something where when you start reading it, you're like, this is just like reprobate. Like, but then it goes into like enlightenment and like all of these wonderful quotes and stuff. And so I just really curious about where, like, how that approach came about, you know,
Sure.
where did this all come from?
So basically, I wanted to make a book, exactly something I'd exactly want to read, like crazy, um, talking shit about religion or whatever. So I mean, I like the ideas behind Buddhism, and then getting James, icing on the cake. Um, but originally we were talking, and it was just going to be like a 20-page, 24-page single issue, where it
Mm,
was just that initial stuff of all the killing of everybody and the parodies. And
yeah.
but with the title, I was like, well, we got to work in, because it was, a spin on Tales to Astonish,
Hmm.
Tales of Suspense kind of stuff. So I was like, Tales to Enlighten. Well, there's got to be some sort of enlightenment at the end. And then, that only took another 140 pages,
And
to
at that
get through,
point, he was like, "Oh shit, I'm signed up for this."
basically.
How did you guys meet?
So he was on Tumblr, and I had been buying commissions from him. I think he's still the greatest deal in comics to get a commission from him. But even
Yeah.
then, it was like I think it was like $30 for a commission. I was like, okay, draw me Flavor Flav with robot arms, draw me RoboCop, draw me, So I have like all these crazy, I like a half a dozen maybe commissions from him. And
Yeah.
then he had posted something. This was like in 2000. So I had followed him for about 2 years maybe. And then 2017, he made a post with like some sequential art, and said it was a zine that he did on commission. I was like, light bulb over the head. I was like, well, maybe I can pay him to do sequential art pages, and we can actually make something.
Yeah.
So we started talking, and he was into it. So it worked out
There
good.
there are a lot of people like that where I see their art and I love it, and I'll scroll through their feed and I won't see any sequential art, and I'm like, I don't know if they do comics or
Right,
not, but
right.
like I want to see this person do sequential art.
So even some of the people that I got was like, I don't know if they could do sequential art or not either. I was like, fuck it, let's try.
I
So
gotta I gotta try that. I wish I had. I gotta quit buying books, and gotta start paying people to make art. That's a good idea.
Well, I think you can make your own books for sure.
Well, yeah, but I'm so slow and like I don't know. It seems so. It's like what now with these AI thing. Like James he beat the AI to the punch, right? You can tell him any combination of things and he'll make it work.
Yeah, he made it better though.
Yeah, he,
The things
he-
I would put down in the script. I would even thumbnail things out, but what I would get back, it was twice as good, or 10 times as good as what I had envisioned and stuff. So
yeah. I can't imagine a better artist for what that book
no,
is.
perfect.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. So it's kind of funny that you said that about the we needed some enlightenment in there because that was my initial response is I got this book and it says Tales to Enlighten and then it's just immediately like the 12-year-old me being like, what would happen if Mr. Fantastic fucked the invisible lady and you could see his dick? And then I was like,
Yeah,
what? Why is this Tales to Enlighten? Um,
yeah,
so you pulled the rug out from under me. I appreciate that.
yeah. It was a great review. Thanks for that, by the way. Yeah, I like how you said, I got this far into the book, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle much more of this, and I still have this much more to go. And, yeah, we did tried to pull the switcheroo and put some knowledge in there or whatever. But
So
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as much as there is knowledge or whatever, it's also all bullshit. Like, I mean, you called it out immediately about my afterword there about being a hypocrite. I'm not living up to these ideals. So,
But that seems really intentional, and that seems to be like you said you're interested in Buddhism. It sounds
mhm,
like,
sure,
and that seems very Buddhist to me because like when you read some of that stuff, it's kind of always contradicting itself.
right, yeah,
And so you going back and contradicting seemed right to me.
yeah. I mean, I've never written anything before in my life. That was the first thing I ever wrote, and
Hmm.
for people to be so receptive and like positive about it it's been a great feeling, and good inspiration to do the second book. But I think I'm retired after this one.
After it's wearing you out.
Yeah, it's too stressful. It's just trying to get the art from everybody. And I mean, this one I really did myself in, 30 artists, 500 pages. I mean, I did it to myself.
Yeah, the editorial function of chasing everyone down.
Yeah, I mean, and some people color their own stuff, and then other people don't, so I had to get it colored, I had to get it lettered, blah 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 blah. So
Mm.
there's a ton of moving parts.
Yeah, I mean it's bad enough when it's just like me and Sean working on a book together and then like trying to kick like you did all the fulfillment, I'm assuming too through
Yeah,
Kickstarter.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's a
my
beast.
my lady helped me pack up some stuff, but basically, yeah, I just put my head down and just packed them all up like in a week and got them out. So it was like, I think it was like 450 books out the door in a week. So that's pretty, I had a real system going on.
Yeah, that's what it takes. When we were doing I don't think it was the Strange Death one. I think it was when we did You Don't Know Jack, the prequel to that. No, it was Strange Death. We were getting I was getting the delivery of all the cardboard boxes that you like. It's a whole pallet full of cardboard boxes that all the books are going to go into. And she
Hmm.
came out and she was like, I just wanted a sugar daddy. I was like, bitch, how you think they get their money? They sell fucking crack out of the garage. Like that's what this is.
Did you have like the Gemini boxes, or was it like actual box that you had to like seal the top and the bottom? The gem
Yeah, for
the
that one it was too big to fit in those foldy ones. Those foldy
Yeah,
ones are way nicer. The
right.
Geminis are
That
good.
that's
Yeah.
I was like a robot when I was, I'd throw it in, fold it, tape it, like it was all a whole thing. But the
Yeah.
second book is like, I think it's going to be too thick for the foldy one, so I'm going to be
So
doing real boxes.
and a
I don't
big ass, like a bunch of big ass rolls of bubble wrap.
know. I'm not. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it.
Get something to put it on. I didn't have the bubble wrap on any like kind of
Like a
bar. I would
like a spool.
Yeah, something you can spool it off, because I like had it on the floor and was pulling it up. I like messed up my deltoids just pulling bubble wrap. Uh, so what you said, this is the first time you ever wrote, which is like,
Yeah,
this is the first time you ever wrote to publish, or ever wrote in general?
ever. Period. Yeah. It
What
never.
was the thing that pushed you over?
I think it was just the idea of like I just really love comics, and I spent a ton of time reading and and money, buying the stuff, and I just wanted to make one, and it's just kind of like the opportunity of James saying, yeah, he'd do it, was I was just like, well, I got to do this now, and just kind of distill what I really love out of comics and music or whatever, and putting it together. It was just irresistible. I just wanted to get it out there.
And now you're like, this is it. Like, the taste wasn't sweet enough.
um, I don't know. I tell everybody I'm retired after this one, but we'll see. I wrote a whole third book, like a long form graphic novel. It's all on note cards right now. But
Okay.
the guy I was going to work with is his art is not in the PDF. He has like a 35-page story. He just wasn't ready in time to give you the PDF. But
Okay.
he's also in Russia, and we can't send money to them through PayPal or anything right now. So
Oh
even though
shit.
I'd like to work with him, it just doesn't seem to be possible right now.
Yeah,
But
so Ophelia's in Russia as well.
the affiliates in Russia. The other kid is Oleg Green. He's yeah, and I think it's just Oleg Green on Instagram.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't have anything to show you for his art, but yeah. So I have this
Nah.
whole third story written out, but I don't know what will happen.
And it's in the Tales to Enlighten,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
universe.
Hmm.
Interesting. That now, I didn't think about that. That's too bad, because there's a lot of guys over there right now that I think are really interesting.
Yeah.
That's too
I,
bad.
we have a very international roster. I have a kid from Scotland who's doing his first work. I have a kid from Mexico that's doing his second work.
I can't
Also,
promise these are any of those people, but I'm just
so
gonna
this
show
that
some random previews.
this guy here does collage and photo manipulation. His name is Officina Infernale from
Okay.
Italy. I bought like he sent me. I paid him for like he has like 30 or 20 comics maybe, and they're all in Italian. I can't read a bit of them, but they're fun to look at.
Oh, that's too bad.
They're all in that crazy photo manipulation style. So yeah, he's great. He's from Italy.
And I like that your notes that there's gonna be more stuff here is even
That
perverse in
that's my
comical.
so I got together with my buddy who lays out the book because I have no technical ability. And I was like, well, we're gonna put something here. And he's like, right, he's typing that while I was next to him. I go, why are you doing that? He goes, well, if these guys are gonna see it, I want them to get a laugh. So
Yeah, that's
that was
good.
actually not me. That was my buddy
But
Travis.
it's in keeping with, like, if you're gonna have
Sure.
a preview of the book.
Yeah.
Here's another one. This looks international flair.
Oh yeah, that's Santos Zabalos, also known as Doc Zab. He's on Facebook, but I couldn't find him on Instagram. But he did this back in like 2018. It's very those like the old creepy and eerie kind of style, you know,
Yeah, that's
that
what I was
ink
gonna say.
that ink.
Especially like the Filipino guys in those books.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll do 6 pages, no more than 6 panels a page. Do what I was like, okay. So I
I,
so I made the story work.
I will make that happen. I'm looking through to see some other. Oh, tell me about these things too. Who's doing all the design on these? Because there's a whole bunch of this stuff.
Yeah, so I'm really into the old 1970s, a lot of 1970s, but definitely some 50s and 60s advertising and religious like propaganda kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So that's on the right there, that author write-up, the fake author write-up I have there. That was like an old from like a Christian evangelist kind of propaganda zine. And we just like, I was so much, to get to the point, my brother does most of the design pages. He's
Okay.
he's a graphic designer, a Photoshop wizard, but he has like 3 kids and a wife and like a ton of obligations. So he can only give me like so much time, for free. So do you know Jeff Robertson? I think he was on with Sean a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeff has been helping me out big time with a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
And he's been doing some of those too for me. So
Well, your
I will take,
brother,
go ahead.
no, your brother is like, these things are spot on. His abilities to mimic these, it's just
He's amazing.
phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And Jeff has done a great job too. But yeah, this was an old letter, was from a UFO magazine on the left there. And we just remixed it to, have my own nonsense in it. But yeah, Jeff did that one. I
Okay.
think he's been helping me out. He's been doing some lettering, and we're going to have a bunch of mixtapes drop over the month-long campaign, and he's putting together one of those. So he's been a big help.
What kind of stuff is on the mixtapes?
So that's up to every individual DJ. Last time it was I did one. It was like all funk and soul that related to spirituality or religion, and then it was a bunch of I did DJing for a while, and I have all these mixtapes that we mix spoken word samples with. So I have like thousands of spoken word samples dealing with enlightenment and God and spirituality. So I spread them around to all these guys, and so we had 3 tapes last year for the last campaign, and I think there's like 4 or 5 guys this time. I'm not doing one this time, but
Okay.
Jeff's gonna do one. Yeah, we got some Buster Moody, I think, is who makes his own beats and stuff, is gonna come out and play with us.
That's fun.
So yeah, it
And
is
those
fun.
will be like add-ons to the campaign?
Yeah, we just drop them just to kind of keep enthusiasm up during it's just free downloads,
Okay.
because
That's
we don't
smart.
have any rights to the music or anything. So
Yeah.
I mean, Buster does because it's his own beats and stuff, but the rest of us are just grabbing music from other sources and putting it in.
So you were
But
kind of addressing these topics then with music before this, it sounds like.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had about 30, maybe 30 mixtapes out there. I have a website. It's like fireside.fm / Megatrip Power Hour or something. I don't know. If you Google King Megatrip Fireside, it should come right up. And then
Okay.
yeah, so we have a whole bunch of those mixes coming, just to kind of, because after the first week, this like enthusiasm drops off, and it's like you got to kind of spin a bunch of plates to try to, hey, look at me. So we drop mixtapes or whatever we can do. We're going to do an art contest where a couple winners from the will have their pinups printed in the book. So that art there was Bill Couture. I met him
Okay.
at Boston Comic Con. Super long story, very short. My buddy was one of the owners of Boston Comic Con, and they sold it. And then Fan Expo bought it. And the first year that my buddy didn't own it, I didn't work there, so I went as just a regular schmo. And I met this guy, Bill Couture, at his table, because the colors of everything he did just like was like drawing me in and stuff. It was
Yeah.
amazing. So I had some of James's pages with me. I was like maybe only about 6 pages done. This was 2017. And I was like, look at that. He was like, oh yeah, this is great. So I just stayed in touch and ended up getting almost 20 pages out of him doing this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I could see like the colors on this, how that would like
Yeah.
shout out from across the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a super nice guy. He's I think it's just Bill Couture on Instagram. Just, I mean, as great as his art is, his ideas are just, I think my ideas are crazy. his idea, he did like a whole comic about being part of a sandwich in the universe and stuff, and it's just crazy. He's a fun guy, and he's got great ideas. I'm so
Well,
happy to have him involved with me in this.
yeah, and I think like that's the other thing that I can feel in this book is that everyone's just kind of having a blast, like taking their filters off. And
Yes, yes.
that's where even though like I'm not prone to run out and buy a book that's all about like Human Torch fucking the Invisible Lady, like it's so refreshing to see the filters come off.
Well, that's the thing with all these artists is I was just go, this is what I wrote. I mean, I was kind of more with James. I was like, this is, in this panel, this panel, this panel. I was kind of too rigid at the beginning, and he kind of like loosened up as we went. But there's a reason that for this panel or that panel is like this is a reference to this. Remember the other day that Brandon Graham was talking about the that Papa Will Spank panel from Batman in the 40s. It's like well, in this panel, Satan is slapping a woman, saying this. And that's a reference, to that, So there's a ton of references and stuff I was trying to get in. But in these short stories, it was more, I was quite a bit looser. And, it's like, this is what happens on this page, just go crazy and just add whatever you can to it, So,
well, it works. And like I said, it's refreshing. Yeah, it's just I feel like people are going to edit themselves a lot these days, and you guys said let's do the opposite. Let's be like, okay, that's my initial idea. Now, how do I make it more bananas?
Yeah, and even with the pinups, I was, people ask me, well, what character do you want me to draw? What do you want them to do? I was like, I'm not an art director for the most part, just go crazy. And I feel like you get way better work out of somebody when they're going crazy and having fun with it than me saying draw this character doing X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, for sure. So like was that like an ethic going into the book that you set for yourself? Like I'm really intentionally gonna pull the filters off.
Yeah. There's no sense in doing it like half-assed. It's like just go all the way. Just literally make a book that I'd want to read. And that's the kind of stuff I enjoy.
What are the things, like if you go back, like influences, you say the kind of stuff I enjoy, what are some of the things that you would say that you're pulling from that?
Yeah, this is, I mean, just every weirdo comic you've ever seen, manga, Fist of the North Star kind of, I mean, I have this whole
Yeah.
it's plenty of comics around.
Shelf, yeah.
Well, I haven't read them all, but I'm working on it.
And you've got a big you showed me earlier a gigantic stack of long boxes too.
Yeah, all these short boxes here.
Short boxes.
Yeah.
God damn, you could build yourself a house out of those, sir.
I definitely could have bought myself a house with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at my growing collection and thinking, oh, what am I doing? I could have saved so much more money to buy a house. Now I'm just gonna have to move them, right? We're gonna
right.
Put them in the boxes and have to haul them. So yeah, people were asking about on the video I put up of the first one, if it was still available and where, and then also if it will be. I was curious because I was saying it would make sense to me that they would also be able to get it in the second campaign. So if people have missed out, is that going to be possible for them?
Yeah, so I have about I counted them up the other night, about 230 of them left. So I allocated 200 of them to the campaign where they would be like, you can buy volumes 1 and 2 together, or volume 1 as an add-on to it. If there was a tier with a t-shirt you wanted, you could then add that book 1 on with it, So it's for the next week or so, you can buy, I have them right next to me. I'm pointing like you can see them. You can buy the volume 1 book, but I figure, to be safe, have like 200 of them.
Yeah.
Reserved for the campaign, because after that, it's like, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to afford to print them again. Honestly, I mean, I'm not trying to do the hard sell with people, but like, that's like a lot of money to reprint them again. So I don't know. We might
Yeah,
do
because you're
a version where it's like minus the 100 pages of pinups, it's like slim down the book, and and the people that got in on the Kickstarter one, that's the first edition or whatever is kind of special that way. But
the one. Yeah, that makes sense. Because yeah, a print run you have to do what, at least like 1,000 to justify it, pretty much.
yeah, I mean, I got the prices for 500 and 1,000, and it's like for like 3,000 more dollars, you can get get double your. You go from five, jump it up, double it. So, and then
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at it, but I'm sure it's kind of the same if you went from 1,000 to 2,000. But my lady would kill me if I had all this stock laying around the basement.
Yeah. Our garage during the Strange Death campaign was, yeah, I mean, because your books are big too. Those are big books. They
Yeah,
take up a lot of space. Like you get 1,000 books like that. I think I had 700 Strange Death delivered. I mean, we printed like 5,000, but most of those went to Diamond. So I had 700 here, and that was like my whole garage.
right.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
When they
You're
delivered they delivered the 1,000, they showed up in like an 18-wheeler on my little dead end street, and it was like just waiting for the neighbors to get all pissed off trying to get out or something. But it was something. Seeing the whole pallet. It was 2 pallets. It was 1 pallet, and then the second pallet had 3 boxes on it. It was like,
stack them on top.
I was like, exactly. I guess because so that they could not damage them or something. I don't know. But I didn't have any damaged books coming all the way from Korea. It was nice. So
Oh, you did them in Korea too?
yeah,
Damn,
so I
that's
worked
ballsy.
with ONS, who's out of Kentucky. They're like a middleman,
Okay.
so they have contacts in China and Korea and stuff. So you pay them, they pay, and then eventually it filters, it comes over, but it made it.
Yeah, and then the government starts hunting you down for import export tax.
I don't know.
No, they
We'll,
haven't
we'll
got.
we'll see. I don't know.
I got
Not
a
yet.
call from like the Alabama State Board of Tax or something like that, and they're like, "We see that you got a shipment from Canada and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Sean, you got to pay all these taxes." And no, NAFTA, man, I don't have to pay nothing because we did it in North America. And so
Really?
I called them back, and I explained to them what was going on, and you could hear the tax guy being really bummed that he like couldn't catch me. He wasn't going to get
Are
like
you
his
you kidding?
$3,000 taxes or whatever he was trying to get us for.
Really? No, I haven't heard anything like that. Thank goodness.
Well, we'll edit this out then, just in case there's an IRS man watching the channel.
Please. There was no, when all is said and done, it's like there's no money anyways, which is another reason where it's a complicated why I wouldn't want to do a third book, between the stress of trying to keep everything going, and then, just paying everybody up front, not breaking even in the end. It's just like, how much money can you sink into like a hobby, you know? So, I
Yeah, and if
mean,
you're paying the artist like page rate out of pocket, that's quite a bit different than me just doing a book because I want to do it and then being like, okay, Sean, it's done. And
oh, the idea that you guys had print run of 5,000, send, X whatever number to Diamond, I mean, Diamond, I didn't even try, they take one look at this thing and be like,
yeah. Well, I mean, on Strange Death, we had the benefit of like coming out the gate with a book with like, a big name on it. So that helped. Like if we would have just tried to do that by ourselves, I don't think we would have gotten any traction
right,
either.
right.
But like with any, like with these AI books, I know you're messing with that stuff too, but like once you're in with Diamond, then it's a little easier. But
Right. I'm
yeah,
actually,
that's a different thing than having to pay 500 pages worth of page rate. That's insane.
I find the AI stuff, interesting. It's super toxic to talk about right now. I mean, in all the Facebook groups and everything, people are like melting down about it, though a few people have been like, it's a tool, I can use it to my benefit, blah, blah, blah. But, people will lose jobs from, magazine, editorial kind of illustrations that you would see in magazines. They're certainly
Yeah.
just going to type in this shit now. And though all that Midjourney stuff is a little bit scary, it's not, dark. Or
Yeah.
everything I typed in.
Well, yeah, you really have to use the prompts if you want to get off of it. Has a look. And I've noticed from when we started using it at the beginning of the summer to now, like the look has narrowed to where like it's almost, with all of the input it's getting, it's learning preferences, and so it's aiming towards the middle of those preferences, and like it all
Right.
looks the same now unless you go out of your way to prompt it to look like something else. And it's weird because it started with that Dave McKean look that we got, and now it's it's like all these reds and like blue greens on everything. And I saw that in a lot of the ones you were doing too. So yeah,
Right.
it's a weird look, but it seems like you're enjoying using it.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun for a couple of days off. I was, so I'm basically trying to do like maybe a 10-page story at the last minute here to squeeze in. But I mean, I've talked to you about it, but I'll just say that, it's about, before anybody gets all mad about it, it's basically the robot character from the first book decides he wants to be an artist. It invites the crew over to see what he's been doing. And he shows them like dozens and dozens of comics he made overnight. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, this is no heart in it. There's no, and basically I would like to use a bunch of quotes that, from what Dave McKean said on your interview, where it was like, the idea isn't like art is not an endless stream of pretty pictures. That's not the point. So try to
Yeah.
work that in there and just kind of, and that would be my whole, and then I'll be canceling my Midjourney account and being done with it. I think. I mean, I can't see going on and making anything else with it. I think it'll just kind of be a novelty thing for me. But it has been fun. I mean, I showed you some of the stuff. It's just like so weird.
Well, and it's very like, even if you're not trying to make something with it, it's almost like Google now, where like you'll just get this hair up your ass about something and then you just go type it in. Like, I don't know, instead of like the other night someone told me something, and instead of finding a GIF or a meme to send them back as a response, like I went and made an image on Midjourney real quick and like made my own meme with it
Nice.
to them. And I was like, oh no, like this is but it's tempting like that.
Right.
And it's I thought I was going to be done with it too. Like, okay, I've had my say. We're trying to be like the first ones out the gate, opening and closing the book. Fuck this stuff. And then now I'm playing with it all the time.
I like the idea of your series, the 5 issues being, each one being sort of different. Like the first one being just sentences dropped in, the second one, a story you wrote trying to force the AI, like each issue being something using the AI, but in a different way.
Were you trying to force it to get certain results, or were you just going with what came up?
You should. I should have just paid somebody to draw it. You know what I mean? I spent so much time trying to force it to do these images. It's just crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say woman's hand holding a comic, and it couldn't. You'd think something basic like that, but it wouldn't. It would show the woman's hand, but then it's like there's no comic or whatever. It's like, and it's like, and then in this style, and then Robert McGinnis style, and an Alex Ross style, and Frank Frazetta style. I was, just on and on, endless variations of what you can try to produce. But
Yeah, and then you say comic, and it will like just a stack of comics. Like
right,
I'd say like someone folding a piece of paper, and it would just be a bunch of folded papers.
yeah,
And you're like, but where's the person doing it? Or things like that. Yeah, there was multiple times in making issue 2 and 3 where they had to be certain things, and we
sure,
had to edit out. Like there was some shit that Sean wrote that is like a man is in a coffin with like a window, and you see his face through the window, and it's like leaned against the wall in a hallway, and there's a guy walking by showing him a comic book and there's another guy walking in the hallway, and like you've played with it, you can imagine there's no fucking way it's
No, you could type it any which way you want and you're not going to get that,
yeah,
and
yeah. So
maybe with enough time, but it's so I have a couple where, I put, and then I found all the banned terms, like you can't type cocaine, you can't type hot girl, you can't type
you can't type hot girl.
no, you can't type even I think shirtless, or bare chested, like, because the main character doesn't wear a shirt for most of the it's like I couldn't figure out how, you can't type nude, naked, like it's like, wow, these guys are really like. So for cocaine, I was like, I put
Snow.
I put red-haired Billy Idol throwing a cloud of white dust or white powder, and that I got something close enough.
Yeah, I used ketchup a lot. Ketchup, red sauce. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine for your book especially, you're like Jesus with a giant boner, and it's like nope, banned.
Boner, banned item. Yeah, timeout. I was like, oh, you get a timeout? I didn't know. So
you must have really pushed it, because in the issue 4 where we had the AI do the script, it's fucking perverse. It's like oh, a bunch of naked young boys that have been abused. Like it wrote this like basically child pornography.
Oh my God.
The AI did. And yeah, so I'm trying to put that into but I didn't get a ban. You must have really been.
It just gave you like a 30-second timeout, and it was like, if you continue on this, basically, if you continue on this path, like no good can come of it, sort of thing. So
maybe they've built more into it now than a couple months ago when I was messing with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when hot girls didn't come up, I was like, very attractive girl in a bikini,
Yeah,
that
hot
would fly,
girls.
but yeah.
Because then you would have to get the 2 words. It's not just a banned word. They're recognizing them. Like, why couldn't it just be like heated up women?
Yeah, I don't know. But I was surprised at all the different it didn't seem that extreme to me, but whatever.
Well,
anyways, so that's only going to be a 10-page story for anybody who's like totally anti AI art. And I'm not, I'm having fun playing around with it, but it's just a gimmick for me.
Yeah, and it's like your story is perfect for it, like because you have a robot character, so it makes sense.
There's a part where Dave, I don't know if you remember this interview, but he said, do you like this? Then this, then this, then this, then this. He said it a dozen times. I counted it out. I was like, and every time he says that, I'm going to have a different comic with a different crazy, like, Mutant Fuck Squad logo on it or something, like something's crazy. All these crazy titles that I came up with. And I put a call out a few days ago for anybody who wanted to help me make some logos, and a bunch of people were making logos for all this shit. So
it seems like in the first book, there's a lot of interaction with the audience too, which is fun. It seemed like I wish I'd been privy to your campaign, because it seemed like you did a really good job of getting, like, there was a whole page of memes put together in one of these. Were those actually like floating around at the time?
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't like crowdsourced. It was all from, I've been saving images for years of people reading books or stuff. So I give it to my buddy who lays out the book, Travis, Hunchback Graphics on Instagram. Super nice guy, big help. And he started making today. He's like, I made 8 of those ads for you. So we got the first week covered already for those meme kind of things.
But I like the idea that you're creating things that people can like pass around and share, and like really engaging with the environment that the campaign is going to happen in, really.
Well, that's the idea, is try to get people to share it, because the way that the cost of these second books to print, the way prices have gone up, and just it being a book that's almost twice as big this time, and the shipping costs of everything is through the roof right now. It's like, really have, I think we have a $20,000 goal, whereas I only had a $4,000 goal on the first one, but that was like I had such low expectations that anybody would want to play with this book, that I was like, if I had to print 100 copies, what would it cost me? I was like,
Yeah,
let me just ask for that. So
just like a print on demand service rather than a
right,
offset. Yeah, yeah.
correct, yeah.
Were you surprised by the response?
Yeah, pleasantly surprised. Yeah, for
Good.
sure. Yeah. So uh, hoping we do okay this time too. But the way it's very expensive, I kind of screwed myself on the size of the book. For international shipping, it's anything under 4 pounds is like totally unreasonable shipping costs, and anything over 4 pounds is like batshit insane, fucking nobody would ever do. So it's like right on that line. So I got to figure out a way to ship it like with so light, like, because if it's over, it's going to go into my pocket like $15 a book or something. It's like
Oh, no,
I can't do that.
when we did Strange Death, we were shipping things international that were like 70-80 bucks.
Yeah, I know.
That,
It's like Australia, it was like $80 to send. I'm like,
yeah.
and people, originally I had just I was like Canada and the UK, where because you can in Kickstarter you can like where you want to ship it, and people are like, oh, how come I can't get this? How come I can't? I'm like, it's cost more than the book to ship it to you.
They'll
And
pay it. Some people will pay it.
some people were up for it, but I feel bad, but what the fuck can I do about it?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like me and Sean, we were like, do we want to do international shipping? It's expensive as hell. And it's like, well, just be honest, like, hey, this is gonna cost 80 bucks. So if you want to pay that, we'll send it to you. And
Right.
we sent out 30 or 40 books to all over the world,
I
but
just ordered.
never
I just
again.
I just ordered Strange Death a couple days ago. I was hoping to have it by tonight so I could be like, yeah. So I'm looking forward to checking it out.
You'll have to send me your address. I'll get you a book plate for it too.
Oh man,
Um,
nice. Thank you.
but yeah, that and then like I found like in Brazil, I think it was Brazil and Mexico, we had some people, and you go to put their addresses in, and the postal system was like, we don't know where this is at.
And just some of the addresses, it's like, is this the street? Is this the city? Is this the province? Like, where do I enter this information? I'm sending screenshots to the people like, tell
Yeah,
me how to fill this out so it
yeah,
gets to you.
it was a huge. I think there was one. I think the guy in Mexico, I don't know that he ever got his book, because
Well, that
first off, it was like a Spanish name where it was like Maria Delgado de blah blah. It had like 20 middle names in it for the street name.
right.
And it was like, I can't even fill this in on the form. Like, how the fuck do you, like, can I just do the first and the last and they'll know where it's at? No. So
Yeah, it's like you kind of have to be very specific on are you using stamps.com or something?
it was I forget what it was.
Mail ship station, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if it's like you can't get it to print out sometimes if you don't have the stuff in the right place or whatever. So I don't know. And plus, if they don't get it, it's like, do you ship them another one or you just give them their money back? It's
Well, I think we came down to like, we literally can't get the post office to send you this. They don't know where you're at. So we're just going to have to refund your money, which you
right.
feel super bad about because they're like super excited about the book.
Right. Like that kid who I was saying from Italy that did the 6 pages for me there. He bought a book and I sent it, and I guess Italy's post office is just bullshit. Like he didn't get it. I was like, well, I could send you another one or I could send you your money back. I go, but if I send you another one, it doesn't show up. That's it.
It's
I'm not,
expensive. Well, the other thing is though, how a lot of people were telling us, hey, they won't give it to me unless I pay a tax when I show up. Like they show up
crazy.
at whatever the shipping service is, and they're like, you owe like also $30 like import export tax on this product that you bought from the
Really?
United States. Yeah.
With the UK stuff, as long as it's marked as a book, I think you're all set. But I don't know. I'm
Yeah, I
not
think the
the
EU and UK stuff was all right, but there was a couple. I don't know. There was a couple, and people would leave instructions. But yeah, we found out real quick. International shipping is just like, sorry, like we'd love to have you as a customer, but not next time.
right. I mean, I got a thing from Germany from because I have an Etsy store. That's where you can buy the book. Getting around to that. But like for Germany, you need to fill out like all these forms to be able to sell stuff there or something. I was like, I can't even figure this out. So I guess I'm not shipping to Germany anymore.
Oh, I feel like we sent a couple to Germany without filling out.
It was just like just recently, like within the last couple months, there's something to do with I don't know, limiting packaging, and you have to fill out these forms and stuff. So and then they say if you don't, then you might not, you're not guaranteed that it's going to get there or something. But
that's crazy.
I mean, I don't have that many German customers, so I guess it's okay.
But it really puts up you get a sense of like the barriers that are getting put up. Like you're talking about, you have these kids in Russia that you are excited about and want to work with.
Yeah.
And like you can't even send them money. That's nuts.
No, PayPal's shut down. You can't send them any money. I pay, before he finished, I was like, oh, because we could see the writing on the wall. I was like, here's the rest of the money. Just promise me you're going to finish these pages for me. He's like, yeah. So, so I sent him the money ahead of time. And then I think he was pretty burned out by the end. I'm like, you're going to finish, right?
I sent you the money. I will fly to Russia.
Yeah, he's a super nice kid, though. I mean, like I said, I would love to work with him again. But I mean, I don't know when. Doesn't seem like the shit's going to resolve itself anytime soon. So
no, it's just too bad that there's like, I don't know. I guess this is kind of in keeping with what you're doing with the book, is that when you jump into that artistic spirit and you approach the world in that way, it's just all collaborative and goodwill.
Right.
And, like, I mean, it's doing this channel for about a year now. Like that's all it's been, is goodwill and meeting people and having great conversations like this. And that
Right.
like is crossing all barriers. And then you try and get anything done across like actual borders, and you just see how much bullshit is in the way, like preventing us from making these connections and doing these things.
In the first book, I put in the pinup section, the name, their social media handle, and then the part of the world they're from, whether it be city or country or whatever they felt comfortable giving me in case I was like going to stalk them or whatever. I don't know, but it's just like, if you run down that list, it's fun to see like how worldwide the collaboration really is.
Yeah, and coming together over like Dick Jesus.
Yeah, it was surprising how many people still wanted to work with me after they read it, so it was cool.
Well, but that means you're surprised at the reaction to the book. It should be heartening, I think, as well, that there are a bunch of people that want this.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I was when James and I did this, there was, like you said, there was really no self-censoring. It was just like, if nobody buys this, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't be disappointed, because I'd be, that's a lot of money to put out there and get nothing back. But at least we tried. It's like, we're not. I watched this other YouTube channel, and they were talking to this guy Ben Granoff, and he says, are we after capitalistic kind of monetary return and Eisner Awards, or creative fulfillment? And it's the latter, creative fulfillment. So
both.
Yeah, really. But
if you can,
if you can, for sure. But our focus was for sure, making something because we wanted to make it, and let the chips fall where they may as far as what the audience reaction is. But like you said, I'm super hyped that people are into it, and hopefully they'll all be back for the second book. And if I sell out of the first book and the 200 something copies I have left, well, that's a quality problem of what to do next, as far as reprinting it or whatever.
Yeah, and that's something we're learning about too, is just like, it's as on the collector end, you'll be like, well, I didn't have money when that absolute edition came out, but now that I have money, I want it, and there's no more, so why don't you do a reprint? But then you get to like the publishing side, and you're like, well, yeah, there's like 150 people who didn't have the money then and want it now, but we need to print like 2,000 to make it worth it. So
right,
you're gonna have to pay $300 on eBay. Sorry.
which is why all those artist editions, come and go like that. They kind of print what the orders are, because you're gonna spend all that money printing these oversized artist editions and thing. They can't keep them in stock. They kind of made to order, sort of.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer
To a
thing.
point. To a point. But
if I would have had money like 5 or 6 years ago when they started doing all that shit, I would have all of them. But
so my buddy Ryan Miller, who does a story in the book, he works at a comic store, so I think he gets a pretty healthy discount.
yeah,
And I don't know if he has them all, but he has a shitload of them. It's impressive.
yeah, I would have been like on the absolutes and the artist editions and all of that. So hopefully they start reprinting some of these kinds of things.
Well, I mean, it'll come in cycles. They'll have to, It's like Domu from the Akira guy. Like, why isn't that in print? Me and my other buddy Chris are always talking like, how can this not be in print?
It's fucking crazy. Yeah, like where's that book at? I just found Legend of Mother Sarah, which is like another book he did with the different artists, but it's like I kind of know about that, but I found it in like a dollar bin.
I don't even know that one. No.
Yeah, it's by Otomo. He's not drawing it, but he's
Okay.
writing it. It's the Akira guy. How is that not
Right.
ubiquitous?
But I mean, Domu is like kind of revered. Why isn't that in print?
And the Moebius's Blueberry stuff. I mean, we've talked about that. Some of it is just like whoever has the rights isn't giving them out anymore.
I think it's like the fam. I can't really speak to it, but I think it's the family doesn't wants too much money for the U.S. rights for all the Mobius stuff people want. I don't know, because Dark Horse was putting out some of those books, but it was like the stuff that people aren't really itching for the most part.
I wonder if it's the same thing with like Domu and because like Dark Horse had Akira for however long, and now it's back at Kodansha, and I just think it's a money thing. So yeah, hopefully they'll cycle back around. But for people like us, that's a way bigger problem, right? Because you're not gonna do a 10-year
right
anniversary edition.
No, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to slim it down and print it for cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, the first book we did was exactly, I got the paper I wanted. It's just everything. There's a couple misprints that keep me up at night, but overall, exactly.
Yeah.
But you in your video, one of the misprints is that double page spread where Sam's standing there and there's all these severed heads behind him, and I think he says, "I got a head start," and there's like an exclamation mark, but like only half of the exclamation mark is there. It's like right staring at the screen when you were doing the video. I was like,
I don't think I pointed that out though. I don't remember.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
I'm like, look at this amazing thing.
No, I was like, but, so yeah, I'm super pumped for this. I got a lot of people that pitched in. Some of these artists are friends that did it as like a favor, or a reduced fee. Like my friend Tony does Tony Sedani. He did 2 stories. He does that Coke Night one in the beginning there.
Oh, okay. So I'll show that.
Sure. It's like, I think it's
Legends of the Coke Night.
Legends of the Coke Night there, yeah.
And so another one of these badass. I mean, these are so good. These are so well done, these ads.
Yeah, so I mean, on eBay, I bought tons of these old 50s, 60s, and 70s, like Fate magazines and stuff to pull all these quotes out of. It's like, it's just super fun. I really love that old 70s, like occult magazine kind of thing, when it was all kind of the rage. But yeah,
when was it the rage?
I think it was the rage in the 70s, because there's a lot of magazines that were like probe the unknown magazine and stuff, and it's like all these, it's all about UFOs or acupuncture.
Yeah.
or it's just like card reading and ghosts, and it's just fun stuff to look at, looking back. So I love
I
all that.
remember
Yeah.
getting like these weird catalogs in the mail when I was a kid that had like everything in them, and they'd have a weird section that would be like the UFO shit and like books on Nikola Tesla. And at the time, he was like stuffed in with the UFO shit. And then like later in life, you find, well, this guy like fucking invented like
He's like,
part of our electrical system, you know? Like,
right. They just shove him in that section.
yeah,
It's
it was
funny.
weird. I I don't have a connection to magazines of that sort. That's funny. But I could see that
Yeah.
in the 70s with all of the
Yeah. It's like all the, end of the world kind of stuff. And
yeah. Well, it's time to bring it back for sure.
yeah. I mean, I'm getting all these eBay packages, and my girl's like, "What's going on? What are you doing with all this shit?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a tax write-off. It's a tax write-off."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's research. So
That's a tax write-off.
so literally in this campaign, I made a zine, like a 32-page zine out of clippings from those magazines and stuff too. So that's one of the items that it's like on a different tier. Like we have tiers for like t-shirts. My friend Andrew Buck, who I don't know, if you don't follow him, you should on Instagram. He's under the death kit.
Okay.
Andrew Buck. Yeah, he's amazing. He did a story in this book, and he did our t-shirt for us and stuff. So
Let's see if I can find that while we're talking. I'm kind of like scrolling and talking while we're going.
Yeah, if you want to pick out a couple pieces of art, I can tell you who they are or whatever. I'd be happy to talk them up. I mean, I got a couple kids from Norway, not kids. One guy from Norway, and then another one. Have you ever read the book Damlog from the 80s?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's right here. Ever seen this book?
Seen that.
Oh
no.
man, this is from like 1987. It says I was buying this off the shelf. This guy, and holding it up to the camera doesn't really do it justice, but he's so intricate. So he was I was a huge fan of this guy's work, and he only has a few comics. His name is, I'm gonna totally blow this one, Ragne Naes, Naess. He's from Norway. And as far as I knew, he never drew more than like three, like it's got the Damlog comics and maybe 6 comics, maybe. And somebody online reached out and says, "Hey, I know you're a big fan. I've got his contact info." I was like, "Yes." So I got him to do a story.
I'm trying to find his right now. Is that in this PDF?
Yeah, it's probably the second to last story. It's like a black and white story with like
is it this one?
Yellowed pages. Let me see.
This thing?
I don't know. It hasn't come up on my end yet.
Oh, okay.
No, so that's this guy, Tengu Guru. He's got a wild Instagram. I asked that kid, I gave him a basic premise of Megatrip through the years. Like it was like a body horror thing. I go, "Can you do 3 pages?" And he gave me 20 pages. he gave me 20 pages of that. It's so sick. I love it.
Yeah, he was going off too.
Yeah. So this other guy is probably right towards the end of the book.
Okay, let me see if I can find him. Here, Ragne Naes.
Yeah.
Right next to the Jesus cult.
Yeah. So that's his stuff there.
So you kind of like unearthed the long lost artist.
I mean, it's kind of elusive as to what he's been up to, but it's just like life gets in the way sometimes. And but I'm super proud to have him, in this book. It's kind of like, I mean, not like it's not a dream come true, but it's definitely inspiring to get somebody that, you were a fan of when you were 16, and now you're working with them all these years later.
Yeah, that's intense. That's cool, especially if it was someone where you're like, oh man, I really like this, but they've never done anything else, and I don't know where they're at to be able to connect and get them going again.
I mean, I tried to get like Tim Vigil involved and stuff, and he was like, "Nah."
Nah.
He's like, no thanks.
But
Even
I
for
did.
even for a pinup, at first he said yeah, and then he was like, nah, I'm all set. I'm like, you could
Nah,
draw whatever you want, dude.
that's too bad.
Couldn't get him.
And I just noticed this is someone I really like, Shaky Kane.
Oh man, he's great. He's probably the most well-known artist, I would say, out of everybody in the book, as far as, he's certainly not mainstream, but like he's more popular than a lot of these guys. But
Yeah,
yeah,
had a couple books out through Image and stuff
oh
like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he's all the work through 2000 AD and that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
he's amazing, and just for him to say, like, I was like, what's your page rate? And he's like, can you do this? I was like, yeah, let's do this. I gave him, I think, 10 pages or something. But yeah, he's great. And the whole story, that whole story, that character was like a friend of mine from the same comic shop and created that character with the blonde hair, like back in the 80s when he was like, when he was like trying to decide if he was going to be an artist. Yeah, this guy here in the right, the blonde hair. Whether he was going to be an artist or like some sort of desk job, and I guess he went with the desk job. But he showed me the art and stuff, which we're gonna run in the new book.
oh,
But
that's cool.
he gave me his blessing to use the character, so I gave it to Shaky Kane, which is, it's just super fun all the way around. The whole history of, me being a friend with somebody at a comic store that used to do art, created this character, me giving it to somebody I really admire, and him drawing it, and then me printing it. It's just wild.
Yeah, yeah, I mean that's a lot of fun though. It's like that's what I'm saying. It's like this spirit of collaboration that's kind
I
of
love it. I love it.
and then crossing like every border too, with all these international artists and stuff. But then doing it with just like the like Tim Vigil would be perfect for this. I
Yeah,
know.
he was like, I would have paid him whatever,
Yeah,
he just didn't want to do it. So
but like these just totally over the top violent perverse things bringing and unifying the world. I just that's what sold me on it, man. Like it, and the fact that you're able to sell me on something that I was initially skeptical about, like takes it for, it like levels things up. That's always the thing
right.
I enjoy the most, is where you get past my initial like preferences and prejudices and land something with me nonetheless. And
I,
that's what these books do.
I love the video that was like super honest, where you're like, I'm kind of put off by this, or I don't really know what to think about that, but like I really dig, I like to see what people like. A lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I love it, or they won't say anything if they don't. But I like
Yeah.
that you're honest about, like, I don't know what to say about this.
Well, but
Other
that's
than,
life, right? Like that's
for sure, there's no clear cut answers, but yeah, I'm glad it resonated with you at whatever level.
yeah. So coming away from all of this, what's the biggest piece of wisdom you've picked up?
Don't do a anthology with 30 artists.
That's your enlightenment.
Yeah.
Two books, two 500 page books about enlightenment, and that's what we've come to.
Yeah, that's basically it. Small bites. Small bites is the answer.
Yeah, that's a good life lesson. Small bites.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it with small bites. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. And really, if you haven't picked up Tales of Enlighten Volume 1, you should do that, and you should do it. If you have picked it up, obviously you're going to want number 2, but if you haven't got it, make sure that you're also getting number 2, going to the campaign and getting that
Awesome,
number
man.
1 as an add-on, because what, like 200 copies, and then it's
Yeah, I got about 200. I think I was like 230 or so copies, and I put on tiers. I put 200 of them up, so I have about 30 that I can kind of play with, I think. But it'd be a quality problem to run out of them, I guess. But
yeah,
we'll
but
see.
then potentially gone because Matt is tired of doing this.
Too funny.
But yeah, they're great books, and I hope people go back to campaign. I hope this next campaign does even better than the first one.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on. I mean, I really like the channel. I've been watching a lot of stuff lately. I love the daily videos and seeing books, it's tough for, because I've read a lot of stuff and collected a lot of stuff, but when I see your videos, half the stuff I'm not familiar with, or I've never heard of this artist and stuff. So that's fun,
Oh, that's good. I
I
appreciate
mean, I
that.
was super into cartoonist kayfabe for a long time. I thought they were, and I'm not bashing on them at all, but it's like I don't need to see another Electra video or whatever. It's cool. But so
But I do
go
think
ahead.
you're tapping into what they call the outlaw comics, which is where you're talking about Tim Vigil, and like
Yeah.
I think they've built a good audience around that as well. And
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
you're tapping into some of that. And
Like I
I
said,
would
I'm not
imagine
bad.
with sorry,
I'm
go
not
ahead.
bash. I'm just saying I'm not bashing on them. It's just like I'm super enthusiastic about your videos where it's like people I don't know, or and I love the interview ones too. Brandon Graham is fun to listen to. He's so knowledgeable.
Yeah,
And
we're blessed that he's that he keeps coming back and talking to us.
yeah, but I'm super into the channel right now. It's just like it's been fun to like see what you guys are doing, and I haven't even seen half of them, so it's plenty for me to look at still.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. That's why I said I think we're kindred spirits in that I'm always like I'm very restless, so I always want to see the next thing, the new thing, the thing I haven't seen before.
Right.
Yeah, and doing the channel, you start to realize like, yeah, how many like I'm like you it's easy to think like, okay, I've kind of at this point read everything that one should read when you've got
Yeah.
that many books and you've been doing it for this long, and then to start going, oh my God, I don't know anything.
Yeah, exactly. When those Orichi books, Orochi books came out, I was like, I haven't read this stuff, so I'll check it out. And then I saw coincidentally, you were reviewing both of them like the other day. I was just reading the second one, so I was like, it's like I haven't read that. I've been really like buying more and more manga because
Yeah.
it's just like you can imagine all the stuff we don't see, all the stuff that isn't translated and we'll never see.
Oh,
It's
it
kind of
drives me
sad,
and Sean crazy all the time.
right?
We're talking about, because we'll like actively be looking for stuff too, or I'll see something on Instagram and I'll be like, Sean, you gotta like contact this person and like see, can you? But it's like, it's just too much. And then you start talking to people and they show you some, like that thing you just showed me. Never heard of
Mhm.
that. What's that? That looks amazing.
Sean reached out. I had posted some I think it's Sukiya comics from like Italy or Portugal or something. He was like, how many of those do you have? It would be really nice to get a collection of those together. I was like, I only
Yeah.
have a couple. I only have a couple.
It's and like I don't know. I think comic fans are like OCD. Like we really like there's this real sense that like and most of the people that I talk to, it seems like we all want to have seen everything. And the
For
idea that
sure.
there's one cool, really great book that we haven't seen like drives us nuts.
Yeah. I follow a couple accounts that are just Japanese manga books and stuff, like the cool shit. And it's like,
Yeah.
and then a couple of them will hunt the stuff down for you. And so I've started getting stuff in Japanese. It's like, what are you doing? But
Can't even read it.
like showing my buddies, they're just like, why are you doing this? It's like it's
Yeah.
fun to look at.
It's a weird obsession.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that I really appreciate about this book is you're doing that with your book. It's like, here's 30 artists. Some of them some of them you've never heard of.
Right.
Maybe their first thing. And hopefully for you guys having that many people on board, that's 30 people blasting.
That's the hope, man. And even with all 100 pinup artists, get 100 other people, putting it out. And so hopefully, the tentacles are spreading out there and we're, getting some new cult members in, but we'll see.
Yeah. join the cult of Megatrip.
There
So
you
yeah,
go.
everyone on our channel, please go join the cult of Megatrip. I'm gonna make sure that this video goes up on the 1st.
Okay, great.
Or
Thank you.
unless do you want me to put it up like a week later for that week?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Sales are sales.
Right. Yeah. Just go with the
Yeah.
first would probably be good.
Yeah. So if you've just watched this and you're interested in the book, there will be a link to the Kickstarter below, and the Kickstarter just went live. So if you could go help Matt like just blast through his goal on the first day, bump the book up into projects that we're excited about, because that's how that works. Like if you blast through your goals in the first day, Kickstarter is going to start promoting it to other people.
Yeah.
So that would be a massive help to Matt and the crew if everyone that's interested went and got it right away, and boost those numbers and put eyes on
Right.
it. So.
We'll see if they don't shut me down. My video is kind of crass, so we'll see.
just take that off if they get mad, and then keep going.
Hey man, thanks so much. I really do appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, Matt. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And good luck on the Kickstarter.
Thank you. Great talking to you.
Yeah, good talking. One of the best ways that you can support what we're doing here on the channel is to support the books that Sean's putting out through Living the Line. The first book that he put out is The Strange Death of Alex Raymond. It's a collaboration between Dave Sim and myself. The book was recently nominated for an Eisner Award in the Best Reality-Based category. It's a deep dive into the artwork and methods of Alex Raymond and the mystery surrounding his death in a car crash. So if you haven't grabbed that already, please do. Eric Creek's The Exile, which has been described by the artist as his Viking Western. It's a really intense story of revenge, rendered with this beautiful pen and ink style, and then these couple of spot colors that were also done in layers on ink and then converted into color. So that's just a really beautiful book, and a really intense story. Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.